Curse words and sarcasm were used in the making of this video. Hello, Jamie from Salty Card Creations and Potty Mouth Crafters Society, back with a new creation for you, still punk as fuck. Yep. So with this one, I found the sentiment in the ink road sets, and I was like, I think I have the right image for that one, and I had a new die set to try out, so it just kind of happened. So the image is actually from Digis with Attitude. It's a digital stamp I picked up, I actually got many moons ago when I still did the Crafter Creations Challenge blog, and they were one of our sponsors, and so I have a few of theirs in my stash. I may have several hundred digital stamps still saved from back in the day, and so this is one of them, and I had recently pulled out some images that I'd already colored. This was one of them, and I was like, ooh, this would probably work for an old die card. So my cousin Steve turned 40 last week, and I had to make him a card. So you are seeing his card in process. I may have been a few days late, but he should have gotten his card by the day of his party. So I think we're okay. Anyways, on this one. So for the coloring on this one, I had my Ohuhu Ohuhu, I think. Yeah, I think they're the Ohuhu ones. The Ohuhu 60 and the skin tones. And I maybe brought in a couple of other ones from like the grays. But I've been playing with the set that I've packed for our trip, and that's what's been sitting on my desk. So that's kind of where the colors have been lately that I've been reaching for. So all of those, the picture will be on my Inky and Scrappy blog on the side tab if you're on the web page. If you're on mobile, I think it's a drop down menu, but it'll show like the pages, and there's an Ohuhu or the Ohuhu color combo charts and stuff there. So all of my color charts that I have done and such are on there, so if you're interested. So I sped the coloring up greatly. This is at 8 times my normal speed. I kept it fairly simple coloring wise. You know, it's a guy card. He's not really going to give two hoots. But I do like to make sure that I'm, you know, practicing my craft and skill. So I try to work on my shadow, my shading, those types of things, even if I'm trying to go super simple on it. And I kind of work from there. So for the old guy skin, I went with a warm gray 1, which is, I think it's warm gray 150 now in the new numbering system. But it's kind of got a little bit of a pinkish to it. And then I went over it with, I think it's pale cream was the color that I went with over the top. So it kind of gives it that old, I don't know, aged skin look. And then for his hair, I didn't want to go totally gray because obviously he's only 40. It's probably not as gray as that. So I went with a little bit of browns in there and then went gray over the top. So this was the one I wanted. I picked up 2 weeks, a little while ago. And so I wanted to give it a try. And I thought, oh, it's got the triple flip, right? So it has the 3 little boxes. Well, on this one it's rectangles, but I thought I could switch them into little squares and make 2 rows and do a pillbox. Now the only thing I would say this one, I wish they would have the 3 piece where it cuts where the little tabs go in on like a second independent one where you could maybe place it anywhere on your card, like along, you know, that would be my, you know, my only change for this one, just because I think it would work better for like a 5x7 if I could put it wherever I wanted to on the 5x7. But anyways, I'm learning the ropes on this one because this is a new to me one. So I die cut everything out twice actually. I only needed it once, but I figured if I messed up, I'd have all of my pieces out already. So I just followed the back of, I haven't seen this one put together. I followed the back of the little die cut packaging, and it went together fairly well with just kind of watching or looking at that and kind of reading it and going from there. For the most part, I used way too heavy of paper. I probably used 100-pound accent opaque cardstock. I probably, if I do this one again, I will probably go with an 80-pound, or maybe like, I guess close to my heart paper is like 65-pound. But I would, I would definitely go with lighter paper. It was definitely probably too heavy for the application on this one, just because it was, you'll see. You'll see what I mean. Also, the glue, of course, I'm using Barely Art Glue. I probably would switch it up to the Glitter Art Glue because it dries faster. The Barely Art takes a little longer to dry. And when it comes to interactive, sometimes I like the glue to be dry faster. So for this one, it says right on the instructions to kind of line it up backwards and sketch out your little, where you're going to put your little tabs. So I did that. It worked out well. I could have eyeballed it probably, but this way it was, it's going to get hidden anyways. It really doesn't matter. It was an extra step that probably saved me time in the long run. So here's me off camera because I suck at making sure that I'm on camera, and I maybe had it zoomed in a little bit further than I would have liked, but my desk is messy, and that's about the only amount of clean space I currently have. Yeah, it is what it is. So I'm going to glue on each one of those. You just line up the fold onto where you put your little sketch mark. Of course, the last one is just lined up straight to the end of the pull tab. And then once you have that done, you add glue on to the top part. So I would definitely say make sure that you have all of your crease lines creased very well and that they fold in half properly. Because that's your pull tab, right? So I didn't pop out the little arrow until right at the end. Where this one here, I don't think I had it creased quite right, and so it's not the greatest, okay? It's off a little bit. So that's why I said make sure that you crease that one so it looks like, it looks prettier and doesn't have the overhang hanging out. So I did have to fold these down, and this is where I really noticed that the extra thick cardstock was a pain in the posterior to get through those little slotted pieces. Yeah, I possibly ripped a little bit. I don't think it was too bad. I almost ripped on the first one and just kind of realized I needed to squish them down a lot to get them to go through. I really wasn't worried about them falling back out because it took me quite a bit to get them through. But once I had them through, then of course spreading out the little tabs again and then practicing with the little pull tab thing. And this is where I think if I would have used lighter paper, they may have laid flat better when the card was fully closed. Just an observation. And this is where I say I would have liked that pull tab piece to just kind of be on its own without the actual full box. I mean, I get it, but it would have been nice to have the option to place that in different spots, I guess, because I really would have liked to have done it the long way and not the tall way, but because of how it was going to have to sit on the card, I decided to go with a vertical instead of a horizontal layout. And so, just trying to make my images work together, or my image and my card layout work together, took a little bit more time than I had wanted. It does come with the little piece here that just you can set anywhere on your card to cut out the little the notch for your pull tab, which I did on this one, but because I did a 5x7, I couldn't. I guess I could have, but if you're like me and your plates are really chewed up, if you run your card base through, it kind of it etches in all of those cuts onto your card base, so I didn't want to do that. So I did it on my top pattern paper piece here, and of course the pattern paper is close to my heart. I think this one is called Lucky Day. It is actually like text weight pattern paper, so it's not the heavy cardstock based one. Yeah. And so I'm coming in with Tim Holtz's square stacks. I just wanted a lot of squares, and this way I could run them through my die cut machine in one fell swoop instead of, you know, repeatedly. And if you've been here before and you've been at my other channel, you know I suck at cutting anything into a square or rectangle, so it's just easier to use die cut. It's just my, you know, inability to cut straight lines. Yeah. So I glued on my top pieces onto those little tabs, and then of course I did a second row or a second layer below because I was going to make this a pillbox. I know it only has 6 days. I'll fix it, don't worry about it. So it has 6 days on my pillbox, or 6 little boxes on my pillbox. It's what fit in the little thing. It made sense. And I went from there. So then, of course, I had decided to do a second layer on top to just kind of add some detail on there. And then, of course, I realized I need to cut some more pieces for the backside. Of course, I cut enough pieces for the backside for both sides, but obviously I only needed 3 to go on the 3 that were actually moving. Yeah. I'm a genius. I know. Okay. Alright. This is where I say that Barely Art Glue just doesn't stick and hold quite like my glitter art glue. It's just not fast drying, and I'm used to the glitter art glue, which dries a lot faster. So I am impatient. Obviously, if you're impatient like me, the glitter art glue is the way to go. If you're indecisive, like me, then the Barely Art works fairly well too. But, you know, they both work well. It's just, that's probably the only property difference that I've noticed between the two is dry time. Not that Barely Art takes forever to dry, it just takes longer than the glitter art does to dry. So, anyways, I'm making sure all of my things are squeezed together. Then I'm going to lay it back down flat. And then before I add my little pieces on top here, I am going to stamp some little days on them, you know, like a pill organizer would have. So I pulled out an old Close to My Heart stamp set. I don't remember what this one was called, but it had the days on it, and so that's the one I grabbed. I think I have several actually. I have some calendar style ones or some planner style ones that would work for this one. You could just do an S, an M, a T, a W, a T, and an F for days of the week if you did not have the little Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday style stamps. So once I have the last one on here, then I will glue those onto their respective pillbox organizer pieces. So one right after the other. And I'm going to end up speeding this up fairly soon here because, yes, this one got a little bit long. And I didn't know where to cut out anymore because, yeah, you know, sometimes I may be extra. And if you've paid attention, it tends to be a lot. And when I'm in the zone, I'm in the zone. And I don't care how long a card takes me to make. I'll just keep going until I decide I'm done. Did anyone catch that set number? Because I don't remember it off the top of my head. Okay. Oh, maybe I'll look. We'll see. So for the inside, this is my Saturday pillbox, okay? Things I would do different. Things I ended up doing different that aren't in the video. There's a couple. Anyway, so I'm putting in a piece of acetate into the little Polaroid here. So it's actually a Polaroid frame. I think it's from MFT. Don't quote me on that one. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it was the MFT one. It's what I had, right? Well, lo and behold, I still had those 3 extra ones sitting on my desk, and I needed a flap. And this looks like it was going to work perfectly. So I kind of pulled that underneath my acetate there and let it do its thing. So, of course, I'm just going to kind of trim off my little tab. I don't need the whole thing. I just really needed the hinge part of it. And so I'm kind of just using this as a hinge. It worked well. I could have definitely cut another piece of, you know, another piece of square that would have been a little bit bigger and or rectangle and then did a score line and did it that way. But of course I was like, I have this piece and it's done and it'll be fast enough that it'll work. Yeah, I'm very much a it'll work kind of girl. It is what it is. And so, you know, really it was just, I don't even want to say it was really for decoration. It was really just because I thought it would be cool to make a money holder on the inside. It was not big enough, I will say that. I should have gone with a bigger size, but in the end, I made it work. So here's where my mess up is. I put score style tape all the way around the outside, thinking I would be able to lay this flat. Once I got the dollar bills in there, it did not stay on my card. I ended up going in after the fact, so the next day when I actually tried to put the money in, it was not going to stay, like no matter how I folded the money down. So I ended up doing some foam tape all the way around the outside, and that's how I ended up getting the money into the inside of the card. Anyways, so for this one, I've decided what I was going to do pills. So I brought in, I think it was the robot set from Tim Holtz. I was just looking for little tiny circles that would look like pills because I don't actually have any pill stamps or, you know, die sets. So little circles would work. And then, of course, I brought in the Adulting Gold Stars from Ink Road Stamps. And I'm just going to use the sentiments. So put on pants, took my meds, and what was the last one I picked? The last one I picked was got out of bed. Yeah. I figured that was legit, you know. And then I'm just going to add those little circles onto the inside. So I kind of, you know, put these in there as the pills that would be in a pill box. Now, my orange on orange, because I cut it out with the same color orange that I used for the other, I brought in the Ohuhu glitter markers and just took the orange and added glitter onto the little orange ones so they have a little bit color variation from that orange paper so they don't totally blend in there. Now, for this one, it says not to put adhesive close to the mechanism. So you want it to have a little bit of wiggle room. And I've done, Lawn Fawn has the Flippy Flappy, I think it is, that you kind of do the same thing where you just put, you could put just regular score tape on the outside. I went with the foam tape just because I knew that it had a lot of dimension to my pull tab pieces there. So I wanted it to lay as flat as possible and not really bow up and ruin any of the things. So that's why I went with the foam adhesive, and then of course I added that foam adhesive onto my character as well. And then I just took a pencil, traced that cutout line. I'm going to score it at 5 inches first before I get too far on this one. So I just took a piece of regular cardstock, or not regular cardstock, 100 pound accent opaque cardstock, and then of course cut it at 7 inches by 10 inches. Scored it at 5 inches, folded it in half, and then I did cut out the little notch on it so it would line up with my notch on my pattern piece of paper. So, fun note on the pattern piece of paper, it looks like a bingo card. Yes, because it has like the little free square every so often. So, you know, the old guy and the bingo card, I just thought it was kind of funny. Anyways, back to Jaime can't cut anything straight, so I had to go back in and trim off the little pieces that were overhanging. Roadies. I don't remember which one it is. I don't know. I had a few Roadie sets out. If you're interested to know which ones, I can definitely look them up for you. Okay, it was Roadies 21. I stopped the video, went back and checked. So I'll stamp that with some VersaFine Onyx black ink, and then of course I'm going to bring in Happy Birthday Old Guy stamp from Art Impressions. I don't know, it's the old geezer stamp set. So decided to put that one on top, so I'm going to line that up, put that down, and then of course I will do the same thing and add that one. Now, before I thought about adding the dancing guy to the side, but I changed my mind. Before I got too far on this one, like I peeled it all up, and then I thought, well, you know, once you take the money out, there's like nothing under there. So I decided to bring in the beer, the mini, I don't know, the mini blueprint. So there's like, I think it's the beverages one. But there's the like the little beer, so it has in there, and that was basically what I was sending him with some beer money. So I thought it would be fun to put the beer on the inside of the big pillbox on the inside. And then I also stamped out the little beer stein from that set as well. So I'm stamping that with some Wonthon Jet Black ink, and then I will color that one up quick with some beer toned markers. So I did put this one down here at this point. I put a piece of release paper underneath there so I could sneak the money underneath it. Of course, we've already talked about what I ended up doing after the fact because it did not stay stuck. So I just brought in some beer toned yellowish, I think they might have even been yellow oranges, to kind of give me the beer look in the beer stein. Added in some light blue gray for the actual stein. And I think I did like some cream color for the foam that overhangs. And then of course, I fussy cut it out. And then that I put on the inside of my little pillbox thing here. Of course, I had to like add glue that oozed, so the glue had to get unoozed. Yeah, it was what it was. So at this point, I'm almost done. It's just a matter of putting all of the things onto the card front. So lining it up on this one, kind of making sure that I kind of use the grid pattern on my pattern paper for the guide. I'm also going to add a couple of pills onto the inside here just to kind of make it match the outside. There's also that little rip strip in the acetate. So to get that in the acetate, I ran it through the die cut machine with a piece of paper underneath it. That's my best piece of advice to get acetate to cut with any kind of die, is to put it on top of a piece of cardstock or paper to, I don't know, it's the only way I can actually get it to actually cut. So that's how I did the little zip strip. The little zip strip I think came from MFT stamps. There's a bunch of different companies that carry them out there, so find one that works for you if that's something you're looking for. I did color in the little arrow with that glitter marker and then insert that one into the pull tab, so he knows what to do with that one. And then because I had orange on my card base, but I didn't have any orange on my little guy here, I decided to add orange to the pill bottle top, I guess. Just kind of tied it into the rest of it. I could have done his shirt orange, but I liked the white t-shirt look. So, and then of course I stamped and die cut out the still punk as fuck, I say, as I reach for my pill organizer. So that was the sentiment that started it all. Yeah. So I'm going to bring in some glossy accents for my eyeglasses here. Now, my glossy accents is probably about ready to get chucked. It's just really old, and it's starting to dry out a little bit more than it used to. So I think it's getting thicker, and it clogs a lot easier. I have a reserve bottle there, so eventually, I mean, I've been using this one probably for, I don't know, 10 years. So it's probably just time. Maybe not 10 years. Okay, maybe like 5 or 6 years. So it's probably time to just upgrade to my new bottle that's in my stash, huh? Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to do it right now, but maybe, possibly, next time I have issues, it might land in the garbage. Yeah, we'll see. Anyways, I added, of course, glossy accents to his glasses and then to the pill bottle to kind of give it that glossy look, or, you know. And then, of course, there is my finished card. So it's got the little pull tab where the pill squares open. I can't talk today. And then, of course, the inside says, "Happy birthday, old man. Don't worry about getting older. You'll still do dumb stuff, only slower." And then, of course, I will put the money in there and then pull out the thing. But, of course, we all know how that went. And, yeah. So here is my completed card for you, you know. So all of those fun things. Yes. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you are over on Instagram and watching the Just for Giggles hop, give me a thumbs up or a like or whatever you do over there. So I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Keep being salty. Bye.